Howdy folks, Billy G with Thank God It's RC. Today we'll pick up where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we got the chassis all assembled on the carbon fiber final version. And today we're going to pick up with tidying up the electronics and starting to prep the body for paint by adding the holes in the back where it's going to mount to the rear body mount and so on and so forth. So let's flip the camera on and get to it. Alright, so we've gone through and Loctited all the metal on metal. Everything else is put together with Nylox or going into like 3D printed or Delrin, so there's no need to put Loctite there. So yeah, almost there. I gotta start my paint and body. Yeah, I'm liking it. All right, let's see what we got to do to shorten these wires. So what I'm going to do first is cut one of these heat shrinks off so I can see what's underneath. Very carefully, without cutting into the wire itself. Okay, so it looks like itself has been soldered on. So what we can actually do, instead of using the connectors that we purchased, we can return those or just keep them for later. And we can desolder these, cut the wires, and resolder them back on. Okay, so we've cut and stripped our wires. Here are the ends that we cut off. So now we're going to apply some flux to the wire to help solder flow. And we're going to take our soldering iron, add a little solder to it, and then tin the wires. Basically, it's called tinning the wire. Alright, so now those aren't gonna like fray out when you go to stuff them into pins. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm holding the wire with a pair of vice grips, the old wire, and I'm going to be holding the pin very gently with a pair of dikes. I'm going to be heating up the back side of the pin here with the soldering tip, which is going to melt this solder. The pin will pull off, then I will transfer said pin over to this wire, keeping it heated up, and then once it sits on there, I will remove the heat, the solder will cool, and it will be a solid joint. Heating it back up, setting it into place. Removing the heat, let it cool, solid joint. Perfect. So we've done all 3 wires. Now we'll go back with some alcohol, clean these up, and put some new heat shrink over them. Alright, just using like an old toothbrush, dipped in some alcohol, and we're brushing the pins, clean off any flux residue. Okay. Wipe up the alcohol. Let those sit for a bit. Just regular rubbing alcohol. Good enough. Alright, now, the motor kit came with some extra heat shrink pieces. So you take those and slide those over the top of your connector, only exposing the part that goes in the female connector. Like that. And then we'll get the heat gun and we'll heat those down. And that's shortened wires. Now we can plug them. Let's go under here. Plug them into our ESC wires, and then we will finish routing the cables. That is all our wiring, nicely tucked away. Okay, so here's our ABS body mount brackets and the magnet bar. We'll just swap this one out here real quick and then install these. All right, we got the body mount hinge all installed. Time to start prepping on the body, punching the holes in the body for mounting it to the hinge. So honestly, I'm not a big fan of how this thing is working. Maybe I got a cheap bad one or something, but it doesn't seem to do as advertised. I really gotta press this thing in here and dig deep to get it to cut anything. Where in the thing it says just lightly press and spin it and it'll work. So I haven't. It leaves giant burrs and does all kinds of mess. So I don't know if mine's just dull or what, but it doesn't work that great. Y'all let me know if I'm doing it wrong. But I'm having to go back with the razor and clean it up. Anyway, got 4 holes in there for the body mount. Moving on. Okay, in prep, one of the things I did have to do to make this gap fit the frame properly is I had to trim about, I don't know, 20-30 thousandths off of each side here to make it fit over the chassis smoothly without spreading it apart. Now it fits nice and easy. So, one simple thing I had to do to get this prepared. So I'm done modifying the lid or the body before paint. So I gotta wash this thing and mask the windows and do a bunch of other prep work for it before we start painting, but I'm not going to do that yet because before I even attempt to do any painting on this of any sort, I'm going to practice on some clear Lexan material, like a sheet Lexan first, just to mask it off and throw some paint down on there with the 3 colors that I got, which I'll be explaining here soon. But so yeah, before I do any kind of prep work to this, I'm gonna practice on that, other than putting the holes in there. Paint. So I'm going to go find some material to practice on, and we'll close this video out for the day. And thanks for watching. It's Billy Jean with Thank God It's RC. Have a great day.